Right then, adventurers, itching to get out there and explore the world, are we? I know the feeling. After all, I've spent years traversing the globe, chasing down every passport stamp I could find. But before you pack your bags and hop on that plane, let's have a chinwag about a few places that might require a bit more caution in 2024. Now, I'm all for pushing boundaries and embracing the unexpected. But sometimes, even the most seasoned traveller needs to take a step back. We're talking about countries facing political unrest, new visa restrictions, or maybe even a spot of local hostility towards certain nationalities. You know, the kind of stuff that could put a real damper on your holiday spirit. Don't worry though, this isn't about scaring you off. It's about being informed and prepared. Over the next few chapters, we'll dive deep into 10 specific countries where British travellers might not receive the warmest welcome in 2024. We'll unpack the reasons behind these travel advisories, from diplomatic spats to cultural clashes, and give you the lowdown on how to stay safe if you do decide to venture forth. So, buckle up, grab your passport, and maybe a cuppa, eh? And let's navigate the ever-changing landscape of international travel together. Stick with me, and I'll make sure you're well-equipped to explore the world safely and responsibly. First up, we're setting our sights on country one, a nation grappling with significant political turmoil. Recent months have seen a surge in anti-government sentiment with frequent protests. These demonstrations often escalate quickly, leading to clashes and chaos. The Foreign Office advises against all but essential travel to country one. They're concerned about potential violence against foreigners. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. Consider alternative destinations where you can relax and enjoy your holiday. Next on our list is Country 2, a place that's always been a bit particular about who they let through their borders. But lately, they've tightened the screws, especially for British passport holders. They've got this brand new visa regime in place, and it's not for the faint of heart. Gone are the days of rocking up with your passport and a cheeky grin. Now you're looking at a mountain of paperwork and endless online forms. The new visa regulations are notoriously strict, with even the smallest discrepancy leading to delays or denials. Adding insult to injury, there's a growing sense that these new visa restrictions are specifically targeting British nationals. Whatever the reason, getting into Country 2 on a British passport just got a whole lot harder. So, before you set your heart on exploring Country 2, do your research and brace yourself for a bureaucratic battle. Right lads, country number 3 on our list might have you reconsidering that must-see itinerary. We're talking about a place where recently the Foreign Office has slapped a big fat travel warning. And let me tell you, they don't do that for nothing. It's not just a slap on the wrist, mate. It's like a right hook to the holiday plans. These warnings, they're not to be taken lightly. They mean something's gone pear-shaped, and it's usually not pretty. We're talking about a surge in crime, specifically targeting tourists, and not the pickpocket your wallet kind of crime either. We're talking serious stuff. Now, I know what you're thinking. It won't happen to me, but trust me, I've been around the block a few times, and I've learned the hard way that these warnings are like the writing on the wall. Ignore them at your peril, my friends. Stay informed. Stay aware. And for now, maybe give country number 3 a miss, eh? Now, I'm not one to sugarcoat things, so here's the lowdown. In this particular country, we've seen a sharp uptick in muggings, robberies, and even some nasty assaults, all specifically targeting tourists. It's like they've got a sign on their backs saying, "Rob me." It's enough to make even a seasoned traveller like myself think twice. Listen, I'm all for pushing boundaries and exploring the unknown, but not when your personal safety is on the line. There's a difference between adventure and recklessness, right? The authorities are trying to get a grip on the situation, but until things settle down, it's best to err on the side of caution. Remember, your safety is paramount. Don't let the allure of exotic destinations cloud your judgment. There are plenty of other incredible places to explore where you won't be constantly looking over your shoulder. Alright, country number 4 on our list is a bit of a head-scratcher. It's not necessarily dangerous in the traditional sense, but it's a place where cultural differences can land you in some seriously hot water. We're talking about a country with customs and laws that are so vastly different from our own that even the most well-intentioned traveller can find themselves on the wrong side of the law. Now, I'm all for embracing different cultures and respecting local customs, but in some places, the line between acceptable behaviour and a serious offence can be razor thin. What might seem like a harmless gesture back home could be deeply offensive in another culture. And believe me, I've been there, done that. I once inadvertently offended a whole village in Papua New Guinea just by pointing my finger at someone. It turns out it's considered incredibly rude. Who knew, right? The thing is, in this particular country, ignorance is no excuse. They're not afraid to throw the book at foreigners who break the rules, even if it's unintentional. We've heard reports of British tourists being detained, fined, and even deported for seemingly minor infractions, like wearing inappropriate clothing, taking photos in restricted areas, or even just displaying public affection. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't visit this country. It's actually got a lot to offer in terms of history, culture, and natural beauty. But what I am saying is, do your homework, research the local customs, familiarise yourself with the laws, and for goodness sake, be respectful. Remember, when you're travelling, you're a guest in someone else's country. Act accordingly. The last thing you want is to spend your holiday stuck in a foreign jail cell, wondering what the bloody hell went wrong. Right then, country number 5 on our list is a bit of a hot potato. We're talking about a place where recent diplomatic spats have put a real damper on tourism. It's a classic case of politics getting in the way of a good time. Now, I'm no diplomat, but from what I gather, there's been a bit of a falling out between the UK and this particular nation. Could be anything, really. Trade disputes, political differences, you name it. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. Heightened tensions, increased scrutiny of British citizens, and a general atmosphere of unease. In practical terms, this diplomatic row has made it a right pain in the backside for Brits hoping to visit. Visas are harder to come by, border crossings are more stringent, and there's a good chance you'll be met with suspicion and hostility from locals. It's a real shame, because this country has a lot to offer. But unfortunately, right now, it's just not worth the hassle. The political climate is too volatile, and the potential for things to go pear-shaped is just too high. My advice? Give it a miss for the time being. Let the politicians hash things out, and hopefully, in the not-too-distant future, we can all go back to enjoying this fascinating corner of the world without the added stress. Until then, there are plenty more fish in the sea, as they say. Right lads, we're off to Country 6, a place with stunning landscapes but grappling with some serious health issues. You see, there's been a recent outbreak of mention-specific disease, and the medical facilities, well, they're not quite up to scratch, especially outside the main cities. Now, I'm all for an adventure, but it's crucial to be prepared. Before you even think about booking that flight, make sure you've got all the necessary jabs. And I'm not just talking about your standard tetanus booster. Consult a travel doctor at least 8 weeks before you go. They'll get you sorted with the right vaccinations and advise you on any precautions. And speaking of precautions, pack a comprehensive medical kit, and I mean comprehensive. Include everything from painkillers and antihistamines to rehydration salts and insect repellent with a high DEET percentage. Trust me, you don't want to be caught off guard. Remember, prevention is key, especially when you're venturing off the beaten path. Be mindful of what you eat and drink, stick to bottled water, and avoid street food, no matter how tempting it looks. Your stomach will thank you later. Now, Country 6 isn't just about health hazards. It's also got its fair share of infrastructure challenges. Roads can be a bit dodgy, public transport can be unreliable, and if you're venturing into remote areas, expect the unexpected. My advice? Plan your itinerary meticulously and allow for plenty of flexibility. Don't rely solely on online maps. Grab a good old-fashioned paper map and learn a few basic phrases in the local language. It could be a lifesaver, especially if you find yourself in a bind. And speaking of lifesavers, make sure your travel insurance is up to scratch. It needs to cover medical emergencies, repatriation, and any adventure activities you might fancy. The last thing you want is to be stranded without a paddle, so to speak. Finally, stay informed. Keep an eye on local news and travel advisories from your embassy. Situations can change quickly, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. Remember, adventure is great, but a little bit of preparation goes a long way. All right, mates, let's talk about Country 7, a place where the government has a bit of a thing about controlling information, especially from foreign sources. They've recently implemented strict new regulations on internet usage. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even the BBC News website, all off limits. They're wary of anything critical of the government or against their cultural values. Consider downloading a VPN before you go. It masks your IP address, making it look like you're browsing from home. But be cautious, it's a cat and mouse game with the authorities. Country 7 is fascinating with rich culture and stunning scenery. Maybe a digital detox isn't such a bad thing. Disconnect and immerse yourself in the local culture. Right then, adventurers, let's talk about Country 8. Now, this one's a bit of a hot potato, politically speaking. They've got a bit of a history, see, with neighbouring countries, and things have been a bit frosty at the border lately. We're talking heightened security checks, long queues, and the ever-present risk of getting caught in the crossfire, metaphorically speaking, of course. The thing is, tensions can flare up pretty quickly in this part of the world. There's still a chance you could be denied entry, or even detained, unless you've got a genuine, unavoidable reason to be travelling to Country 8. It might be best to give it a miss for the time being. There are plenty of other countries to explore that won't give you a migraine from all the geopolitical drama. When it comes to Country 8, discretion is the better part of valour. Country number 9 on our list might surprise some of you. It's a place often associated with beautiful beaches and vibrant culture, but unfortunately, it's also become a hotbed for scams targeting tourists, especially those from Britain. Be aware of your surroundings and take precautions to protect yourself and your belongings. Pickpocketing and petty theft can happen anywhere, from crowded markets to popular tourist attractions. Staying alert can make all the difference. There have been reports of elaborate scams, including fake tour guides and rigged ATMs. Don't let these stories deter you from experiencing this incredible country. Stay informed about common scams and take steps to protect yourself. Keep your valuables secure and be wary of overly friendly strangers. By being aware and prepared, you can have a safe and enjoyable journey. One of the best ways to avoid scams is to blend in as much as possible. Even small things, like dressing appropriately and learning a few basic phrases, can signal to potential scammers that you're not an easy target. Remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Be discreet when withdrawing money from ATMs. And finally, don't forget about travel insurance. It's always better to be safe than sorry. A little preparation can go a long way in ensuring a safe and enjoyable trip. Our final destination, country number 10, is facing a perfect storm of challenges for travellers, particularly those from Britain. Widespread protests, fueled by economic instability and political discontent, have become increasingly common. Adding to the complexity, the country recently implemented strict new visa regulations. Diplomatic relations between Country 10 and Western nations have become increasingly strained. This tension has led to heightened security measures and increased scrutiny of foreign visitors. Check the latest travel advisories, stay informed, and weigh the risks carefully. If you do decide to travel, be prepared for heightened security and potential disruptions. Remember, your safety and well-being are paramount. And there you have it, 10 destinations where British travellers might face some challenges in 2024. Remember, the world is a vast and incredible place, full of diverse cultures and unforgettable experiences. While it's essential to be aware of potential risks and travel smart, don't let these challenges deter you from exploring our amazing planet. Wherever your next adventure takes you, be sure to do your research, stay safe, and enjoy your travels. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with fellow travellers. Keep an eye out for more travel guides, vlogs, and tips coming soon. #British Travel Guide to 24. Travel safe. Countries to avoid. Travel advice.